in this particular session this evening, I want to share two ways of practicing. One practice is following on from the little seeds we've been sowing about this idea that meditation is not just about sitting and trying to become completely tranquil and clearing the mind and being, silent in the mind, but actually meditation is a way of recognizing that the mind is an incredibly powerful tool, and that meditation can mean training the mind. It can mean using the mind in a really good and well way. And then one of the natural kind of ripple effects from this is that our mind becomes more peaceful. Our mind becomes more tranquil, and we're able to use the tool of our mind in a more effective way. So as always with this session and with these practices, everything I'm sharing is a suggestion. If a word doesn't land for you, if some part of the practice doesn't feel quite right, either adapt it or edit it or adjust it to make it as right as you can for you. If you have a question about it at the end, I can answer it. And if for any reason the session isn't feeling quite right, you are not obliged to stay. There is no obligation here. So please do exactly just as it is that could be most supportive for you. Okay. So in this first session, the thing I would like to focus on is the power of intention. Now, intention is a very interesting thing within meditation. So for those of you that have practiced with me before, you'll know that our intention in the practice is to go from experiencing the world around us, to experiencing the physical body in the present, to experiencing the fact that we're a breathing being, to then experiencing the fact that we can probably feel the breath at the nose or at the belly or wherever you choose to focus. And that when we choose to bring our attention to one of those places, we can't choose to make it stay. And if anyone's ever tried to meditate, you get a very simple instruction, like follow the breath, and then the mind wanders off and you go, oh no, you're not meant to do that, I'm following the breath. And you might get really annoyed at yourself or whatever it is that happens. And actually the whole purpose is that we're intending, not just that the mind wanders off, we're intending to come back. And that's what makes this a bit of a mind training. And my partner the other week, she described it as like the weight training for her mind. She's like, oh yeah, off we go and coming back. Oh yeah, off we go and coming back. So the art of coming back to the meditation object is the practice. It is what we're doing here. And the power of intention is the thing that allows your mind to start to stay with the meditation object, because you can't make it. You can't force it. You can't decide that you'll just do the meditation. It's almost like as we're practicing and as I guide the practice this evening, that almost as in each cycle of breath, as the breath comes in and the breath comes out, we're intending to be there for the next breath coming in. And we're intending to be there as the breath comes out. And as we set that intention over and over, what starts to happen is that the mind itself starts to learn that it can be in the present moment. Because what we don't realize is that nearly all day long, and sometimes even in the middle of the night, we are unconsciously practicing thinking. We get really good at it. I'm really good at it. I don't know about you guys. I'm excellent at it. And there's nothing wrong with using the mind in that way. It's just sometimes we don't want to be doing thinking. Sometimes we want to be sitting on a bench on the nice spring sunshine and be with the trees and not thinking about that thing last week or that thing we have to do when we get home. We want to just sit on the bench and look at the beautiful green that's around us or whatever it is. So we do this practice not because following the breath is special, not because we want to become really good meditators. It's actually not even about the meditation practice at all. What we're wanting to do is to be able to train the tool of our mind, to be able to be in the present moment, to be able to not just like be in the present, but to rest into the present, like enjoy the present moment, because then that ripples out into the whole rest of our life. So we're going to practice this with the power of intention. And intention is very, very different to expectation. Very often, if we put an expectation on ourselves, it means that if it doesn't go quite right, then we tell ourselves off, or we feel disappointed, or we said it should have done this, or it should have done that. And instead, intention is kind of renewed and refreshed in every moment. If mind wandered off the last breath, it doesn't matter. Our intention is to be with the next breath. And then there's another breath. And then there's another breath. So we just always have this opportunity to be able to be with it. There's nothing wrong that can happen in a way when we have intention. We can just continue to renew it. So that's my sort of little seed for our practice. So I'll guide us through into our space, more into our bodies, more into our breath. And I'm going to sow this seed of intending to notice the inhale and intending to notice the exhale. And there'll be times where I don't speak, and I'll remind us of our intention. And that's the bit where you have to really practice going, yeah, I'm meditating, and come back. Because whatever we practice when we do this is the thing that we're practicing. So if your mind has wandered off thinking about what's for dinner, and then I say, and then notice your next breath, and you go, damn, no, get cross, then all you're doing is practicing being cross at yourself. It's so subtle, but that's what we end up practicing. And instead, if the mind wanders and then we notice and we go, I set my intention for the next breath. What we are practicing then is actually profound. We're practicing an embodied patience. We're practicing self-compassion. We're practicing understanding. We're practicing being able to come back to a task that's very difficult. It's actually very difficult to do this, to allow our mind to stay on one thing. And all these micro skills that we pick up as we practice this, they start to impact our life. Imagine being able to be completely comfortable practicing something that's difficult or doing something that's difficult in your life. There's something about that that's very important. So we're doing this practice not to just be good at meditating, but to be able to learn something that can be very useful for our body and mind to know, and to hopefully enjoy the practice. So once we've guided from the outside through the body, through the breath and to the nose, our micro intention that we're going to set for ourselves is to be with, and this is my suggestion, wherever you're at in your meditation practice, you might want to adjust it, but my suggestion is to set yourself a little intention of being able to be with 3 full cycles of breath. The breath comes in and the breath comes out. The next breath comes in and the next breath comes out. The breath comes in and the next breath comes out. I cannot tell you what an achievement it is to be able to be completely with the experience of 3 full rounds of breath. As we say about it now, you're probably like, of course I can do that. Of course I can do that. But actually, when we start meditating, sometimes we don't even get through the full inhale and we're off, And it's about not being worried about that. It's being able to really set the intention to come back and be with it again. If you're more developed in your practice and you've been doing more of this mind muscle training, you might be able to get up to 5. You might even get up to 10. But wherever you are in your practice, I would try and do a few rounds of 3. And then if they're working for you, then move to 5 and then move to 10. But if you're anything like me, we might just have a practice with 3, and that is plenty and very, very good. Because it isn't about what number we get to, it's about the quality of our presence. So find a way of sitting that feels supportive for your body. Find a way of sitting where you can feel, whether it's there, I've got a backrest with me today, so maybe you've got your spine supported, and ideally we're looking for a tall spine. So I'm not overly straining, but we're looking for a kind of tall spine. So you might want to have a little, sounds interesting, but like a tweak of where your head is, because sometimes we're a bit forward, sometimes we're a bit back. Just find that place where your head feels like it's balanced comfortably. Shoulders soften. And then when you're connected down, maybe with your cushion or with your chair, just imagine that your legs can relax more. Your pelvis can relax more. Maybe your feet can relax. And if it feels nice for you, you can just let the eyes softly close. Or maybe just lower the gaze down to the ground. And at this moment here and now, we can just set this little intention that this is our meditation practice. And what we do during this time is what we're practicing. And in your way, just set a little intention for how it is you'd like to be during the practice. Maybe noticing that it's very likely that your mind will wander off, or that you might get daydreamy or sleepy or whatever it is. And to just maybe ask yourself or find in yourself, how would you love to respond when you notice that's happened and that you want to actually be meditating? And rather than the harsh voice or the critical or the rushing, just notice what comes as you say this, as you ask this question. Just offer the inspiration of gentleness, softness, ease, maybe even a little smile. And just set that intention that during this session you'll be very kind to yourself, so that you can practice that, and the patience and the compassion. And as always, we begin this practice by connecting to the present moment in these 4 different stages. So even though your eyes are resting down or closed, you can probably have a sense of the space around you. And you might even let yourself imagine the space, or just have a sense of where you're sitting in the space around you, so that you and your body fully knows just where you are, just as you are. Using your mind in this intentional and skillful way to notice what is right now. And maybe there's sounds in the space around you. Maybe distant, subtle, maybe closer. And the way we practice here is that we say, well, just as it is. Just as it is right now. And setting a soft intention that as we carry on our exploration of this present moment, that we invite there to be an awareness of the room we're in, an awareness of what's around us. That we are here and we are with just what is. And then notice if you need to make any adjustments in your body, and just see, is there any softening in the shoulders, relaxing in the hips. Then we're going to bring our attention more toward the physical body. If there's any discomfort or challenge in your body today, invite yourself to be with the neutral places, or maybe with the places that feel pleasant or nice. And if while I guide this bit, there's any part of your body that doesn't feel useful to stay with, allow yourself to move to where is useful for you. Use your mind, your attention in a really skillful way. As you bring your attention to your body, it can be really nice just to notice the connection with the seat or the cushion or the chair that you're in. Allowing your attention to become interested in what is it like. This present moment, this body, this chair. What does it actually feel like? Maybe there's warmth or pressure. Maybe there's a sense of comfort, support. Maybe turn your curiosity up even more and notice, is there difference between how it feels on the left side of the body in the seat and how it feels on the right side of the body in the seat. And then maybe notice anything else you can feel on the surface of your body, of your skin. Maybe there's a sense of the fabric of your clothing, the edge of your socks, or maybe a belt or a collar, just noticing what is. This is the present moment. This is now. And then allow your mind to move to wherever is interesting to it. Maybe you want to explore what the shoulders feel like and maybe they soften a bit more as you notice them. Maybe you want to bring your attention into your feet. Noticing that without moving them, you somehow know they're there. That kind of easy aliveness. Maybe a tingling. And if it feels nice for you, you can scan from head down to toe. Maybe just feeling. And when it feels right for you, maybe bring your attention a layer closer to the breath. Whether you've noticed it a lot today or barely at all, you've been breathing all day long. And right now you can notice that your body is breathing. Nothing to have to do or to force or to make happen. Just as your body has known what to do all day with the breath. As you bring your attention to it, sometimes it changes a little of its own accord, but just letting it be as it is. And allow the curiosity, setting your intention to notice, what does the breath actually feel like in this moment? What moves? Is it deep or shallow? Long or short? It truly doesn't matter how it is. We're just interested in noticing how it is. Using our mind to be interested in our own experience of this moment. You might want to begin to notice that the breath is this cycle. The inhale comes, and then the exhale follows in their own rhythm. Allow yourself to notice, are there any sensations you notice in the nose or the throat? Is there a movement in the rib cage or the belly? Maybe you feel your clothes moving against your skin. All this is part of noticing the breath. Sometimes we can think we're looking for something special or magical to happen, and actually it's quite ordinary. And also a total marvel, the breath and the body. We're going to bring our attention a little bit closer to one area of the breath. In some traditions, it's the movement of the belly. In some traditions, it's the breath at the nose. So choose where you'd like to be for this practice. See where it feels most useful for you. Knowing that you can also choose the palms of the hands or the soles of the feet. We'll set that intention that we are choosing for this practice to be very interested in the living experience of the breath. And I'm going to speak about the nose because that's what I'll be practicing. But just adjust it to be relevant to your practice, to your object of meditation. So notice the next inhale and notice that it's followed by an exhale. Very simple. I am breathing. We are breathing. The inhale is followed by an exhale, and the exhale is followed by another inhale. And you might notice that there's a pause in between, sometimes very short, sometimes a little longer. So we set our intention to be with the breath, maybe setting that micro goal, if it feels useful for you, of experiencing 3 full breaths. Maybe feeling the inhale coming in, actually feeling what it feels like, and counting 1. Letting the exhale flow out in its way. And then when that next inhale comes in, counting 2. And then when that third inhale comes, feeling it and counting 3. And having a little smile to yourself, because it is a triumph to be able to do that. If the mind wanders, you can also smile, because the noticing, the remembering, we don't choose to remember. The mind itself remembers that we were meditating. And we want to give that a little smile too, because it's wonderful. And the more glad we are that we remembered, the more quickly and easily the mind remembers. And I promise you, eventually it just stays. It starts to get really interested in the present moment, in the breath. And it starts to feel very, very nice. If we're practicing being harsh on ourselves, it can never feel nice. That's not how it works. So we practice with kindness and compassion. Noting the inhale, noting the exhale. And for the next few minutes or so, I'll only speak a few times. So it really is time to have that practice. Enjoying the breath, choosing to be very alive to the breath. And choosing to be very, very gentle. If we're daydreaming or wandering away or whatever it is. You might even just label it distraction. And then return to the breath very easily. Knowing that at any time, if we need to make any adjustments with the body, that we can. Setting that intention to know where we're at in the cycle of the breath. When we're breathing in, we know that we're breathing in. When we're breathing out, knowing that we're breathing out. Bring yourself a small smile for choosing to practice this. Renewing your intention. Practicing the skill of being compassionate with yourself if you haven't got to 3 yet and you thought you would, or you really wanted to, or whatever it is, whatever that pressure or expectation might have been. And see if you can renew that intention to enjoy breathing and enjoy noticing that you're breathing. Sometimes at this part in the practice, we can be trying so hard that tension has crept into our face and our jaw and our shoulders, and just inviting with your next few exhales, inviting them to be very relaxing. So we're bringing a lot of presence to the inhale, and letting the exhale be very soothing, softening, relaxing. Present to the inhale, into just how it feels, just how it is. And then again, really easing, letting that exhale soften us. Letting it be just a natural breath, but maybe having the quality that a sigh can bring when it really lets things release. Noticing that this next moment is completely fresh. that next cycle of breath is just going to be there for you to be with it, to be interested, curious, sensing. And if you are getting to 3 breaths and you haven't extended it yet, maybe extend it up to 5. In a way, we want to always make sure our practice is interesting to us. Finding that middle line between it being too hard or too easy, but it being just right. And then, however this practice has been so far, allow yourself to be fully with the next inhale, the next exhale, and then let all effort go. Let all trying, all effort, and just allow yourself to be a being sitting and breathing in very, very good company of the other people who are all interested enough to do the kind of practice that helps us to be more well and tranquil and peaceful in our own lives, with minds that can be healthy and used like a tool so we can use them well. And offer yourself, whether it's a word of kindness or an inner smile or maybe a pat on the back, physical or otherwise, that just nods to choosing to practice this on a Wednesday night. And in your way, just let this practice come to a close, and maybe noticing in your mind what you maybe learned or found out or experienced. Just having a moment to notice.